to the Della Fit Podcasts. 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health, all in one podcast.
Salutations and proclamations. It is I, it is you, it is us, it is we. Together we make up the digital family that is the Oly Lifter podcast. I'm your host, Philly's #1 son, aka the Body Alchemist, Sun Bay, bringing you another podcast excursion. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Oly Lifter podcast, 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health, all in one podcast. And I am excited about this particular episode because I get to have my good friend Rob Miller back with me on this episode. He is my guest for today, and oh my, how many changes have taken place. Just for some brief history, which many of you who listen to the Oly Lifter podcast know, I actually started probably about 9 or 10 months ago, actually more than that. It's almost coming up to a year. But last year in my backyard of this podcast with my good friend Rob Miller, and I wanted to have a podcast that was going to discuss fitness, lifting, and all these things. And Rob was the first person that I thought about being on the podcast with me. And so many things took place as we did our first season, and we had some monumental, amazing moments. And at the same time, our focuses differed. Rob, for those of you that don't know, I've talked about him plenty of times before. Robert is an Olympic lifter, competitor, and coach, and as well as a gymnastics coach. But he got heavily back into competing, and he is now 37th in the nation. I'm so proud of him. But his focus went deeply into his competitive sport, which again is amazing, and there was no hard feelings on our temporary separation. My thoughts and my goals changed with the podcast, not just in the fact of just lifting and fitness and training, but holistic health, fitness and health, and what makes a person stronger, not just with lifting, but mentally, physically, spiritually, the 360 degrees, as we often talk about, that circle, and as well as my own training, physical training, with my business, as well as just specifically my own health goals. So we temporarily split, but I will tell you, we never split in friendship wise, and there was no issue, there was no beef. We just, had to go on our separate journeys, but we are together in this episode, and I'm so glad I get to sit down and talk with my friend Robert Miller again, and I can't tell you how much fun it's going to be to have this conversation. So thank you so much for tuning in and listening, and I'm not going to do my regular thing of how I normally would talk and go into a specific topic. I'm just going to get to the meat and potatoes, to use the old saying of the podcast, and get right into it. So please enjoy the interview with my good friend Rob Oly Lifter Miller. When it comes to choosing a product that's better than the rest, just one label matters, and it's Brandless. Brandless believes in making better products more affordable and accessible to everyone. Why sift through hundreds of brands at the big box stores only to pay a premium for disappointing quality? Brandless cuts out the middleman to deliver just what matters. More options you care about, like high-quality products with pronounceable ingredients, all at simple, fair prices. Hey, as a vegan, it's hard to find high-quality products at affordable prices, and Brandless has both. And to make things even better, every time you check out at Brandless, they donate a meal to someone facing hunger. Right now, my listeners can receive free shipping on orders of $48 or more at Brandless. Go to brandless.com/listen and receive free shipping on orders of $48 or more. Don't wait a second longer. Go to brandless.com/listen and receive free shipping on orders of $48 or more. so you can enjoy the high-quality products you deserve today.
You're now tuned in to the Oly Lifter podcast.
What's going on, everybody? It's the Oly Lifter podcast. You know it because we've already had the whole intro as we do to the show, but I am excited because I have not only a guest, I have a former co-host, the person who I partially started this podcast with. He is back. It's Rob Oly Lifter Miller. He's back, and he's going to be discussing some things about functional movement when it comes to training such as gymnastics. All right, and we started this conversation, and we're going to explain, or rather Rob is going to explain why it's something to look into, how it's going to benefit you, not just as a young person, how it can benefit you as an older individual, how and what is going to make, what makes the science of functional body movements something to focus on. So, first of all, let me also pay him his much needed respects. Rob, for all of you don't know, the last time Rob's been here, Rob is an Olympic lifter. He's now 37th in the nation. He was a level 1 coach. He is now level 2. Shout out to my brother on the line right here. And again, it is so good to have him here back home with the Oly Lifter podcast. So what's going on, good brother?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm just learning as I'm going along with this thing called life, and speaking on as far as like functional movements, I'm learning more and more about how we can use our bodies. Not just going to the gym, but just learning how to use our bodies in everyday life. You know what I mean? And just bringing up the topic of gymnastics, I stated, it was several months ago. I said that gymnastics is one of the greatest sports to teach functional movements.
I agree.
And I had a few comments, they're like, well, what are you talking about? Gymnastics is, what about other sports, and the pole dancing came up, and then
which is good.
It is good. And mixed martial arts came up and stuff like that. But I feel as though that, let's think of pole dancing for this. It's tremendous core strength. Mm-hmm. Absolutely tremendous core strength. Tremendous shoulder mobility and stability,
grip
and grip strength as well. Mm-hmm. Mixed martial arts, learning how to use your trunk, explosiveness, learning how to use your lower region, like the 4 parts of your trunk, your quadratic lumborum, and your pelvic floor, and your transverse abdominis, and your multifidi, so it's just like, I understand that all those sports serve their same respects. However, when I look at gymnastics, I look at it as, when you look at the anatomy of a gymnast, both male and female, mm-hmm. It's just something about the posture and the stability, and most importantly, the mobility of the things that they have to do in order to excel in whatever, how can I put this? Not sport, but each section, like bars and the floor and the ring, parallel bars and so on and so forth. I don't know how to really put that in wording, but mm-hmm. It's just each stage on the gymnastics floor represents different things that we have to use for our bodies. Like case in point, let's say the bars. You have to use shoulder stability, and shoulder stability is very, very helpful when you put things overhead, or when you go into a handstand, or when you're swinging back and forth. Your entire body has to be tight in order for you to flip from one bar to the next. Exactly. You know what I mean? And also, it also promotes good posture. You watch gymnasts, like I said, both male and female. Every single athlete in gymnastics has phenomenal posture. Exactly. You know what I mean? You don't see any kyphosis, you don't see any lordosis, anything like that at all. And it's just like, it's amazing, and don't get me wrong, like I said, like each sport that was brought up to combat against gymnastics, I give it that respect. But in my opinion, I just feel that gymnastics is more relative to everyday living rather than, mixed martial arts and pole dancing. So
now I'm gonna step in with this because we have a number of different individuals who are coming in. Some who might just be new to the whole fitness, physical fitness. We'll say it like that.
Yes.
But I have to agree with you, Rob. Now this is where I'm gonna exact some mindfulness, and everybody knows in listening to the show when I talk about this mindfulness. We had a key word for last year. I'm sorry. Keyword was progression. This year we have two, which is mindfulness and progression. And one thing that I think let's tie this back into is for all those who are tuning in, listening, and you might be like, whoa, this is a little bit more out of my league than normal. The thing of it is that what I think Rob is saying, what I truly believe is this: gymnastics is natural body movements. Now, for those out there listening, all right, and for some of my professionals out there, I know I can hear you. You're like, wait a minute, but let's really drop it down a peg, because when people tend to think about gymnastics, they tend to think about the Olympics. They tend to think about what they see on the television.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, here's the thing: everyday movements, everything broken down, everything into certain levels. All right, let's take it down to the calisthenics. Calisthenics is and I've heard gymnastics say it's the baby sister or sibling, baby brother or sister or sibling to gymnastics. I actually don't think that there's such a thing. All right, but
I agree.
But I'm just that type of individual. Just like some people might differ and be like mixed martial arts. Just like and first of all, for some of you out there, you have to understand. I come from a family of different type of athletes. My uncle was and still is a kung fu practitioner, has been a kung fu practitioner for over 30 years. I have football players in my family. I have different individuals in my family and different mentors. So in relation to what you're saying, Rob, the thing of it is, and also in my own studies, is that all of these are the same. And I know many people out there right now are going to be like, especially, maybe not so much the people who are looking to get fit or just starting at the gym, but to a lot of specific, what would we say, specialists in certain fields. They might not see it. So let's break this down. Okay. And do you agree with that? Would you agree with that, Rob?
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I do agree that it's all the same. Mm-hmm. And I think the one thing that I would add is just like I said, a step down from gymnastics, calisthenics and so on and so forth.
Right.
I think that it's the most important thing, because I'm a gymnastics coach myself, and I teach youth.
Right.
And I think that the reason why I felt that way, because when I coach gymnastics, I also coach mindfulness. You know what I mean? It's not. It's like I teach
the key thing.
I don't teach so much as, hey, do a flip and land on your feet. No, right. I want you to feel everything that you're doing, from when you put your hands to the ground to when you feel your trunk lifting your legs up to get into a handstand. Yep. Or even just doing a donkey kick. You know what I mean? Like teaching someone how to do a donkey kick. It's like learning how to engage your core, just to lift your feet up a little bit from off the ground.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So it is. I like to break it down that way in the mindful manner, because I want you to do more than just do it. I want you to feel it. I want your body neurologically to understand it.
That's the best way to learn anything. The way I think of it. I mean, like I said, my uncle was a martial arts instructor for years, and breaking down. We are actually shout out to not only my uncle, but also shout out to Dane Darmio, who is also he'll be on the show next week. But basically, Dane discussed it, and we were talking about mindfulness. He's also a martial arts instructor, and the thing of it is that when you break down martial arts, like we'll say mixed martial arts, for example, all right, when you really get down to a lot of breakdowns on the history of martial arts, a lot of it comes down to open hand. Some certain variations are open hand strike, and then that's what the names mean. You know, like you might have, like say Nahate, which is like the actual name of a prefecture or a province in Okinawa, and Te is like hand. All right, so when we're getting down to certain names like Kung Fu, all right, Kung Fu breaks down to something that you do well, you know, or skill, all right. There's many different definitions of it, but they kind of all hover around that thing of skill, technique, talent, ability. So the thing of it is that, and I've done much research on this, listening to the books, or excuse me, not listening, reading different books, we have broken things down past, and when I say we, I'm talking about the sports world, fitness industry, has broken things down to separatism. Like, you know, we all have it where it's like, and you and I both train in this and doing our certifications and things like that. You hear people, sports specific. The problem of it is when you're training and teaching people who are not going to compete. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. And just like you're saying, what you're saying is very true, which to me is the same as bodybuilding, the same as powerlifting, it's the same as mixed martial arts, it's the same as calisthenics, it's the same as gymnastics, functional movements. We get stuck in this thing, functional. What is functional? What is functional? I mean, let's break it down. Let's talk about that really quickly. What is functional?
Okay, I think functional is I'll break it down. I think functional is the idea that you can pick up something from off the floor, but it's how you pick up something from off the floor. You know, like you have like I'll even use I use the population like our older population. You know, like You have older people who pick things up and they're like, oh, my back hurt, my sciatic, oh, God, oh, you know, and stuff like that. But they haven't learned how to properly use their bodies to pick something up from off the ground. Just something simple as that. And I think that's what when people. I hear it a lot too. I hear people say like, "Oh, functional movements. This is all what's functional? This is nothing functional." Blah, blah, blah. Like, but in my eyes, I think functional or everyday living is just learning how to properly use your body to do anything. Walking up the steps, walking down the steps, picking up something off the ground, opening a door. You know, and I've heard people. I lie to you not, Sonny. I'm so serious. This one guy I was training. He said one day he opened up the door and he heard something click in his shoulder and he messed his shoulder up. I lie to you not.
I believe it.
And at first, please forgive me. At first I was like, what idiot hurts himself opening the door? And I was like, wait a minute, hold on, wait. He didn't know how to use his body to open the door. Exactly. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So I didn't say it out loud, but I had to back myself up to understand, like, well, why? And I was like, well, yeah, this is, yeah, okay, all right, there's a reason why he did that. So that's why when I say functional, I want people to understand that, like, I'm not telling you how to properly squat or how to properly deadlift or bench. No, that's not what I mean by functionally. I mean by looking at a briefcase and then deciding whether should you use your trunk to tilt yourself forward to pick it up rather than bend your spinal cord all up and then pick it up and then out of nowhere you slip a disc. You know what I'm saying? Well, look, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. Well, let's also for some of our listeners who are, you know, when you say trunk, let's be more specific. We're talking about the main part of your body, your torso.
Yes.
All right. Yes. For some that are listening in. All right. And I greatly agree with you. I greatly understand what you're saying because the other thing of it is that also this deals with how and who is training. You know, what they're doing and what, first of all, the thought pattern that is taught to individuals about movement. I have really discovered, or I should say, I've really gone more in depth and found out that, you know, we, like you're saying, like somebody opened the door and they hurt their shoulder. Well, here's another thing, you know, it might seem silly to somebody, but, you know, I had that realization as well. And somebody's like, who's listening might be like, what? How do you mean you didn't know how to open the door? It's not that you don't know how to open the door. It's, for me, what do you perceive as muscle and movement?
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Now, some people grab onto a door or grab onto things and pick them up, and they only use a certain portion of their body. And Rob, you talked about that in the beginning, dealing with bending over. Now, if you are bending over and you're not somebody who has done, let's say, a lot of mobility, have kept your body supple, all right, have kept your body mobile, what takes place is that getting into certain movements can be challenging and can affect you. Let's just take it to something that somebody, and we all have heard this, Rob, you and I, and everybody out there heard somebody talk about their knee, their elbow.
Oh, Lord.
You know what I mean? now, here's the thing. Now, me, I come from a long line of people who worked out construction jobs as well. So, when they're working, and I'm not talking about the fact that let's say they blew out a knee on the job. That might be unfortunate as it may be.
Absolutely.
It's part of the actual job. Sometimes you're on a ladder, sometimes you're carrying things, sometimes you slip, you're walking uneven ground, things like that. Boom. Unfortunately, that can take place.
Absolutely.
But we're talking, let's take it back. We're talking about somebody who has done a lot of physical work, or maybe not a lot of physical work. Maybe you worked at an office building, but you're used to it was a lot of work. You're going back and forth, you're moving, or just the fact of getting up and going to work in the morning. People don't realize that movement, that having to get up and do something, conditions you and your body. So, let's say after a time, people retire. Now, I have two retired parents. They don't. My father's not the type to sit still or stand still. My mother, she's not totally sedentary, but the amount of movement she used to do. She went to school. All right. She got a degree. She ran her own business. A lot of movement, a lot of mental dexterity as well. Burns calories, does things. These things keep you active. So then with that being said, all right, people retire, all right, and now you're not doing the same things. You might stay home a little bit more, all right? You're not taking that walk from the parking lot all the way into your job, going in those doors and up the steps, or taking the elevator and walking in and then coming back and going to lunch at a certain time, or having to do these things. Even though it seems so minute, they are things that keep you active, all right? They keep you active, all right? Yes, you might be sitting at a desk for a long period of time, typing or whatever, but the fact that you're getting up, you're walking through the hallways, things like that, this is where all this breaks down. If you don't use it, you lose it. And it is the truth. So, like you're saying, Rob, I totally agree with you. And unfortunately, I actually did a presentation on this actually a month ago, and it was amazing to hear individuals talk about or listen. We were having a conversation about how the body is meant to be used, and just the fact that while everybody's staring at me in the audience, I said, now let's just break this down right now. I said, as you're sitting there, all right, and even the people listening right now to the podcast, as you all listening to me, some of you are moving. All right, let's just say that you might not know it, but somebody's twirling their hair, somebody's breathing, somebody's rolling their eyes, somebody's doing things. You're doing and holding and using these body functions. The body needs to move. The body needs to move. It is a perpetual motion machine. We've talked about this so many times on the podcast. So, to go back to what you're saying, Rob, I can definitely see and understand what you're talking about gymnastics, because gymnastics is one, in my belief, all right, you have to learn to maneuver your body through different planes of motion. With one type of weight, the weight that you're carrying with you. That develops a lot of physical power, a lot of strength, and a lot of knowing of what your body can do. Same thing for calisthenics. Is why I always urge a lot of my clients, look, we're going to start with basic movements, push-ups, pull-ups, squats, bodyweight squats. You've got to.
I'll even you'll see a lot of Olympic weightlifters, especially a lot of young Olympic weightlifters that are tremendously strong. And I had to figure this out. I'm like, why? I was like, dude, he's only 17, 18 years old. Like, how is he able to lift twice as much as body weight? And then going back into his to the background, they had a gymnastics background. You know what I mean? And it's just like they already know subconsciously how to use their entire body.
Exactly.
You know, so when they put the weight overhead or when they clean it and then they drop under it and they pick it up, they have so much stability that they don't even have to think about it because they did it for so many years when they were younger.
Yep.
You know, and I'll even say this, like, at this point now, I just now know how to use my core.
I understand.
I'm so serious. Like, it took me for the longest. I knew I was strong, but now I'm stronger because I know how to use my core. You know, and I would always be in pain. Like, my back would always hurt. Yep. And I would be so much in pain. I'm like, why is this always happening? Then it clicked. It was one time I was doing, I forgot. I wanted to, it's a program that I follow. It's a physical therapy program. It's a beautiful program. The program is called Magic Abs.
Okay.
And, I always did it, but I always avoided it because I didn't know how to use my core because it always hurt me. It always hurt my low back. It always hurt my hip flexors. And I'm like, why does this hurt? But then one night I was laying on the ground and I was like, this has to be another way to do this. And then, like, out of nowhere, I focused on my core, then I tightened it, and I was like, oh my God, this is what it feels like. Then when I finally learned how to do it, Magic Abs became tremendously harder. But
explain,
you know what I mean?
Explain to the people out there listening, what do you mean by that? Because there's many people that don't know, Rob. If you want to share it.
So no, yeah, I can share that. Basically, what you're doing as far as engaging your core, you're bracing yourself. Now, I think that's the most simplistic way I can break it down. It's just like your abdominal muscles are actually muscles, and if you know how to flex and contract and brace those muscles, you'll be able to protect your lumbar spine. You know, and I don't want to be so complex, but that's the reason why one of the muscles in your body is called the transverse abdominis.
Right.
Because when you think about the three planes, you think about the frontal plane, stationary plane, and the transverse plane.
Right.
If you cut your stuff in half, you'll see your spinal cord, and then you'll see literally a barrel of muscle surrounding your spinal cord.
Yep.
You know, so when you learn how to use those muscles, when you brace that muscle around your spinal cord, you can protect everything that's around it. You know, and when I learned how to flex and how to brace my core, I was like, oh my goodness, my back doesn't hurt anymore. This is what it feels like, you know. So it made things tremendously easier. Like, even to the point now, like now, I remember when I used to front squat, my front squats used to suffer, because my back would hurt so much, and now I can front squat close to 400 pounds now because I know how to brace my core now, you know, and it makes things so much easier. So all in all, for the listeners who are listening, the best way that I can tell you to protect your spine is just learning how to subconsciously brace your core. And then here's one technique. Sonny, you can try this too if you want to. You put one hand on your upper abdominal, then you put the other hand right below the belly button.
Right.
And when you breathe in, fill your belly up with as much air as possible, then you contract. That's how you brace yourself and create your own weightlifting belt, quote unquote.
Right. Right.
So when you do that, you're learning how to brace, and then that's how you protect your spine. So when I learned how to do that, everything clicked like that. It took me 2 years to figure it out, but still, you know, once it clicked, it made things better.
Now I gotta ask you this, Rob.
Yes,
now
sir.
here's the thing, because I have a theory on why it takes long to actually get the idea of, or this idea of how it is to brace the spine. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna ask you, for everybody out there listening, Why do you think it took you long to understand it?
Because I never had anyone to teach me how to do it.
Okay.
Because I now know that, the years of being in the sport, the Olympic weightlifting, I've had people tell me, brace your core, but I understand that I'm a kinesthetic learner. I have to physically feel what you mean by that.
Right.
And then one of the tips that my coach told me, he sent me this through a link, and it was like learning how to breathe. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, okay, well, that's all right, learning how to breathe. All right, okay. And that's where I got the tip from, putting one hand on the upper abdominals and putting one hand right under the belly button and filling up the belly with air and then bracing yourself. So not only that was helpful for me, but neurologically it was mindful. It helped me understand, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, because kinesthetically I was able to connect it.
Right. Okay.
So,
Now this is something I also see when it comes to that, and my reason for asking you that is because I have often learned that many people's perception of strength is what they see, which is literally legs, shoulders, and arms.
Yes.
And even though they see abdominals, they do not see them all working. And the perception is that strength, strong-looking arm, which is big, muscular arm, big muscular forearm. Yes, it has strength, grab. That's where all the force is applied. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what not the trained or not the person who goes to the gym often. Well, no. I think even some of the people who go to the gym and train a lot, I think a lot of those individuals have some of that perception as well. But we're not talking about, like elite lifters, individuals who are part competing. I'm talking about individuals who are, like I said, they're in the gym, people who are looking and coming into the gym for the first time, or just they're gym goers and they're like, this aesthetic look is the strength. All right. And that's what I think a lot of people misinterpret. And it took me a while. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I finally raised up my deadlift way past what it was. All right. I actually hit, I think the last time I ever hit, I think it was 435. All right. I hit 435 10 years ago. And then I started training. The last time I actually talked to you, and you and I were on the phone about it, and I was like, man, I said, I'm doing this, Rob. And you were like, yeah, well, what is it that you in? Yeah, I think the last thing you told me is maybe you're warming up. Excuse me, and it wasn't 435, it's 455, sorry. And you said maybe you're warming up too much. And I think also I talked to somebody else, and I hadn't hit 455 in 10 years. When I kind of figured out, just like you, a lot more the fact of lifting as a unit, also tightening of bracing of the abdominals. All right, no, not the abdominals. I'm sorry, bracing of the core. All right, and also making sure that you're rested. You have all those things necessary. All right. The last time I actually have hit 455. It's become something I can do. I don't worry about it anymore. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
But the thing of it is that I remember when I first did it, and the first perception was like that, and this is 10 years ago. The first perception is stand up with the weight, grip it and rip it.
No, I mean, essentially.
Yeah, right. But do you remember, I don't know if you ever taught that, but remember individuals, I remember being taught that, grip it and rip it.
I remember being taught that, yes.
And that's the thing. It's like, I tell people, a lot of people look at me now and they're like, you don't look that big. I'm like, no, I don't. But I'm actually way stronger than I was when I first started. And now I won't say first started training. Well, after I had really started training. And you remember what I looked like. I was a bigger, bulkier guy.
Oh, yeah.
So, but things have changed. And I'm like, wow. Things have really changed. I think I'm like 170 now. All right. I have last time I just recently hit a 310 bench. You know what I mean?
Shit.
So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, and the perception of, like you're saying, what makes you, you know, what allows you to do it, what allows you to do it correctly, the function, all those, it's knowing the body. It's knowing this. And I really feel that, unfortunately, we are stuck in a mentality that is, oh, you look strong. Those muscles in that area is what moves that arm strength. You know?
Yeah.
You know?
No, yeah. I've had people, it's like, all right, son, you probably gonna laugh at this, but I've had people come to me and they say like, oh, you look big, but I never thought you'd be this strong. So like, cause, seriously, you know, cause I, you remember how big my arms used to be,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
My arms is not as big as they used to be, but I'm a million times stronger than what I used to be. So when they see me, like, they were like, dude, you front squat like 365 for like 3 times, and you come into the gym, I never knew you could do that. And I was like, well, I mean, I know how to use my body now.
Why should you know how? He knows how to do that.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You know, so it's amazing when you figure out how to use it. It's like, oh my God, like it's like unlimited potential. You know what I mean? And it's just like even today, this is the first time that I was able to clean 335 pounds in training, and I could never do that in training. And I could never do it because I never knew how to use my body. Right. Now I know how to use it. It's habitual now. You know what I mean? I don't have to think about it anymore.
And that's,
you know,
that's just like you're saying that. That's why I'm saying when I hear people say, oh, mixed martial arts, you know, it's functional this, or bodybuilding this, or powerlifting, or calisthenics, or gymnastics. Every trainer, every real, and I want to be careful how to say this, every trainer who really understands and devours and takes apart the science knows that there's no difference.
Exactly. That's funny. You're absolutely right.
You know,
you're absolutely right about that.
And to all those, all you out there listening, let me break it down why. Because essentially, all the sciences are the same, and they all break down to one thing. If you're a mixed martial artist, you use your entire body. You're never just using one thing. Even if you're throwing a kick, you're using your entire body. If you're a gymnast, you're using your entire body. You're using your trunk. Whether you're throwing a kick or doing a somersault, you have to have core strength. If you're a sprinter, you have to have trunk strength. All right? If you're a boxer, trunk strength. If you are a weightlifter, powerlifter, trunk strength. And everything else deals with leverages and spatial understanding.
Yes.
No matter how you break it down, no matter what. So for everybody out there, understand. Even bodybuilding. I know there's some people. Yeah. You know, if you're sculpting spatially, you're defining what your body's going to look like, symmetry wise. That has to do with space. And to get the best body, you have to know how to train it properly, which means you have to know body mechanics, you have to know how to train, how to build the muscle, what to do to take the bulk off of the muscle, meaning the fat or the extra water weight or what have you, for my technical friends out there. You have to know this. You have to know this science, and that's what the key word is for this. These are sciences. These are not haphazards. These are sciences with principles, and the principles never change. My father always told me that as a young. He's like, the principle of truth never changes. And I know many people are gonna argue about that, but essentially, when it comes down to it, you need your body, and your body is never singled out. It's never, because it wasn't meant to be used that way. It's all one big tool. If you're practicing judo, whoop, you learn how to maneuver the body. That's all it is, all right? And I totally understand. So, Rob, go ahead and deeper. Why do you think you're having this argument with people? Because to me, it's not a debate.
It's not a debate for you, Sonny, because you understand, you know, and This is the problem I have. I'm not, now, for the listeners out there, I'm not saying all personal trainers are like this. And this is a pet peeve of mine when I see personal trainers who teach bodily movements, as simple as a squat. It's a pet peeve of mine when they aren't detailed. They just see them squat. They're like, oh, good rep. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, keep going. Like, what are you doing? What are you helping them be mindful of? Instead of saying the common cues, keep your chest up, push your knees out. Like common stuff like that. Like, no, you have to be detailed about it. Like, take a deep breath, fill your trunk up with air, squat down. Use your glutes, use your hamstrings. Like, be specific. And that's the thing I'm seeing with personal trainers. And I'm an advocate of. When I passed my certification, when I became ACE certified, I made a vow not only to myself but to the clients that I'm going to teach, that I'm going to teach them how to properly use their body. Right. I could care less about the money. Like, I know the money is going to come. I'm serious.
I'm only laughing because I made the same promise.
I could care less about the money because I know the money's going to come. But I'll be damned if I'm going to give a client a disservice because I just want to make a quick buck. No, exactly. I made a promise that I'm going to help this person for when they become 80 years old, they'll be able to stand up and sit down on their own.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's just like that's just how I feel about it, and it's just like it's almost disheartening to see a personal trainer. It's already hard enough when you see a personal trainer that doesn't know how to squat themselves, but then they teach someone else how to squat, and they teach them the wrong way. Mm-hmm. And like I said again, I know it's not the vast majority. I'm just saying that just some of the personal trainers that I've seen and I've been around, it's just like it's disheartening. And I also feel that when learning how to use your body, I even do this with my clients. Sometimes I'll see them just in the gym doing their own thing, and then they wind up like holding their back or holding their shoulder, and I walk up to them and like, oh, what's going on? You okay? They're like, yeah, I'm trying to slide and I'm trying to do a shoulder press, and it's like I'm in so much pain. And literally, I will biomechanically and mindfully, I will position them in a way that they can understand it, and I physically put them in that position. Then I'll tell them, all right, now try it. And then when they do it, they're like, oh my God, this is so much easier, but why is it so hard? Because you've never been taught. Exactly. Because you've never been taught how to use it.
Right.
It makes it easier for your body, but your mind doesn't know how to use it properly.
You know what? I tell people now, I'm like, your body used to use it properly, but after it's everything we've been taught. Because, look, as a child, generally, we play.
Yes.
Generally, we play. Most children, when they're born, unless it's something outside that has interfered with their body function, or they were born with a certain disability, most children's bodies function in the proper way. Babies, from the time they're born, they already know how to properly breathe.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like you were talking about mindfulness and breathing. The thing of it is just the fact of I was going over it with a mentor of mine. We were sitting down there, and he was like, now listen, breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Now, he's like, what do you feel when you breathe in through your mouth? I was like, and at first I was like, nothing. He's like, but what do you feeling? Are you breathing in through your chest? Are you taking it all in? Because when you take it all in through your mouth, you're taking it into your chest. Whereas you're taking it in through your nose, you can go deeper into your abdomen, deep into that, like you would say, the pelvic floor. All right. All right. And then let it out. All right, you're supposed to. Most people don't realize when they breathe, they're chest breathing. Most people breathe chest with their chest, and what I'm saying by chest breathing is like, if you all are out there right now and you're breathing, try to take stock. See which rises first. Is it your chest or does your belly button? All right. If your belly button is going in and out, like when you're breathing it, and I'm this is hard because I'm talking while I'm doing it.
I mean, I'm doing it too while you're talking, so I'm getting you.
But when you're breathing in, your belly's expanding. When you're breathing out, all right, it should contract, all right. Now, a lot of people, that's correct if you're breathing in through the belly. But if you're breathing, a lot of people breathe through our mouth, so we take shallow breaths, and that ends up in your chest. And you can tell by just placing your hand on your chest, or in the middle, like on your sternum, see what moves first. Is it your stomach, all right, or your belly, or is it your chest? Your chest, you're not supposed to be breathing into your chest, and many of different things can take place from that when you're not breathing properly. All right, but just like you're saying, again, we're taught these dysfunctions. Why? Stress, anxiety, trauma, which has become my word, is specifically when I train clients now, Rob. Like, I was talking to two potential clients, all right, and as I was talking to them, my perception, just like you made that whole vow, my vow was the fact of I was going to change people's perception of what being fit is.
Exactly.
You know,
yes.
And I did not want them just to come in because I see too many people like, I'm gonna get jacked and swole, or I'm gonna get, lean and brown, and and it's like, okay, that's nice, but the thing of it is why. What's your why?
Yes. Oh my God, Sonny. Yes.
What is your why? What is your why? If your why is because it's the summertime, then your why is how can I say it? It's temporary.
Yes.
Your why is temporary, and what's going to take place is that the minute something slows down progress or it becomes a little difficult, your why is going to cease.
Yes.
All right. If it's because you want to be able to play with your child, your why can be a lot longer. It has to have a deeper meaning. It has to have a real feeling. You and I both did the interview with Richard Hawthorne when he was on the show, and he was like, he doesn't like inspiration and motivation. Why? Because those things can fade. It has to be in you. It has to be deeper. It has to be deeper. And when we have these conversations, when I have these conversations, like with the two potential clients, I was talking to them. And what I was really finding is that the fact of there was deeper. It was a deeper feeling. And the deeper feeling was the fact of there's trauma. There's trauma in the ways of the last time I was fit might have been high school. And I haven't been fit since I came out of high school. And I was really athletic, and I was all-star this, and now I don't feel the same way, and I feel ashamed because I've let my body go. You know what I mean? And now it's harder to get back. Or, there's the individual that's like, well, I have anxiety, and I never liked working out. I don't like working out. It hurts. It does, it fills me with all this discomfort. Not to mention the last time I did something was in gym class in high school, and I was embarrassed, which is a huge trauma.
Oh, yes, it is. And I know that all too well, man. Whoever said that, I know that all too well.
The worst thing I ever heard, and I used to, for those who followed me, and I don't think as many people who followed me from Live.me. Yes, I used to be on Live.me. Was that there was an individual, I was doing a live broadcast with another personal trainer, and I felt so bad after hearing this story. A young man, he came on, he was asking questions, and what happened was the fact of, he said he was skinny. He was I think he's about 125 at the time. He said he went to a trainer, and the trainer told him that he needed to use steroids because he was was just too small to get stronger and bigger.
Damn.
And as I'm listening to this, I'm like, first of all, don't listen to that ignorant fool. But then the sarcastic tone in which he told the story of how this man belittled him. I'm like, and I've seen trainers like this. I've seen trainers come in with the fact of it's like a chip on their shoulder, like you're going to Mount Olympus to learn from Zeus how to be Hercules. And then you find out that, when you look at this individual and you might, you put them up on a pedestal because aesthetically they look pleasing. But then you see somebody like you and I talking, Rob, that goes in there, or it might be you or myself. We come in and then you find out that person isn't even really, how do I say it? I want to say it in the most, they don't understand as deeply as they should in order to be able to teach.
Mm-hmm.
And to find out that they have an attitude about them. That was my reason for not only starting this podcast, but to just get involved, because I want people to start to like to be fit. And in order to be fit, you have to be mentally fit.
Yes.
You have to. It takes everything I've learned. And you and I have known each other, what? Oh, wow. Almost 10 years? Wow. Woo! Dang,
man,
boy.
Oh, man.
You got old, homie.
Hey, shut up.
But we've known each other for 10 years. I've seen changes in you. You've seen changes in me. And the thought that goes into it. What it really takes to be fit, and it starts first mentally. So we want to talk about functional. This is the one thing I always talk about people. You want to talk about functional? Let's start with this. You have to have a functional mind.
Yes.
And that's gonna make a lot of people listening right now. They're probably gonna be like, "What you mean?" Like, but you have to start to prepare your mind to think and understand, and it's gonna be a lot of changing, starting with you, starting with your mentality, starting with what you believe. Am I right, Rob?
No, you're right, because I was literally just saying this yesterday. I was like, look, I understand that people are going to come to us or come to personal trainers like, I want a beach body, I want an 8-pack, I want to look toned, I want this, I want that. And it's not so much as why. It's like, look, I got you. Like, we can get a beach body, but before we get that, you're going to have to learn how to use your mind and your body first.
Yeah.
Point blank. Once I help you figure out how to use your body, you can look like the baddest person on this planet. But we have to learn how to use it first.
Exactly.
And it's grateful, and I'm thankful, and I'm grateful that I hear this coming from you. And it's like, I don't feel that like I'm the only one thinking like this.
No.
And
there's a shift. There's a shift out there, because the thing of it is, just like you're saying, the thing of it is that, especially when I hear the report from the federal government about just getting an hour, if that, of movement a day, that might not strike a lot of people with horror. But for me, I'm like, they're saying just get an hour of exercise.
Yeah, man.
Now, the frightening fact is there are people out there that's just like, oh, God, that's horrible. What?
What you talking about?
Exactly. I'm like, now the reason it's horrible to me is because, and again, for everybody out there, I know everybody's childhood is different. But one thing I can say, most children play. Now, the millennial generation, I'm not going to throw any of you under the bus, because you learned from my generation. And my generation, which is Generation X, dropped the ball. We dropped the ball with you all. Because what we should have been doing was which means we didn't fully understand. We just took what was handed to us and were like, la-di-da, boo-boo-boo. And then we got older, and we were like, you youngins listening to this trap music, and yeah. And then what happened is we became our predecessors, and we didn't explain what was going on. We should have communicated instead of saying and becoming what we had come from. And a lot of us, not all of us, some of us, come from the baby boomers. You know what I mean? So the thing of it is, and they come from I guess that would be oh man, I can't think of that. I think they call it the greatest generation, and the individuals from the 60s. I forget the peace and love and all that. You know what I mean? So breaking down these generations, the thought patterns that changed. So for my millennials out there, a lot of you are more technically savvy. It's more technological things. Maybe you're not as communicative with each other. And I'm not going to use any stereotypes on any of you all, but what I see with a lot of my millennials is the fact of it's easier to be lazy in this day and time. Uber, boom, I'm not going to walk. I can say it because why? I live in this time period. Look, Uber is on my phone. I can tell you there's times I'm like, man, I could just walk this, and I work out.
Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? They be like that sometimes. It do. And I'm like, man, you know what? I could just hop up, jump on this thing, and chill, and not have to worry about a thing because Uber got me. You know what I mean? But yeah.
It's getting out of the fact of, you know what, it's not going to kill me to walk. It's not going to do all these. It's not going to hurt me. It's actually going to better me. All right? These are the things that are functional. We have gotten past the play mentality. We didn't pass the play mentality down. When I mean truly, we didn't pass it down as far as when you're coming from a child, and I know I had this. Rob, I don't know about you. I'm assume, but I remember it's like, all right, no more, stop playing. It's time to sit down, be still.
Yeah, no, yep, that was me. Mm-hmm.
Which is good, is good. But as we get older, and this is where I find it's all mental again, Rob, and you can confirm this if I'm wrong or not. This is where I see the problem. You got older, you get more mature, and it's like, oh man, you're not playing as much. Well, like say you're not going to the playground. If you go into the playground, you're gonna run ball. I'm gonna do grown up playing, and then you get to college. College, you don't play as much, and when you do play, it's not the same type of playing. Let's hit the club. That's what I remember. I could be wrong. Everybody has their own. Am I right, or was it that way for you, Rob?
No, it was like that for me. It's just like, it's, oh man, I don't even know where to start, because it's like, as soon as you said that, so many memories start flooding my head. It's just like, man, I don't know if there's one time where, like, hitting the club, or like even like walking outside or something like that, it's just like, I just now learned how important it is, and how quote unquote functional it is, literally just to walk down the street to catch a train and just use the steps instead of the escalator. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing. It's almost like a third eye type thing. It's just like, you're looking around and you see all these people around you, and they're like on hoverboards and on wheelchairs and on and walking up and taking elevators and taking the escalator. But they're the first people to be like, oh, my back hurt, my neck hurt, my knees hurt. Oh, I wonder why. You know what I mean?
Not to say there's anything wrong with the hoverboards, because with hoverboards you have to have a tremendous amount of balance.
Exactly.
Things like that. But just like you're saying about how functional it is to use the steps. Remember when you used to have your parents tell you, stop playing on the steps? At least they told me that. Maybe I was wrong. But the reason I'm saying that is the fact of, at one point... Go ahead.
I was saying the only reason why I didn't say anything because when my parents told me to stop playing down the steps because I used to roll down the steps for fun. So that's why I didn't say anything.
But see, that's what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is, and for everybody out there, this is what I'm trying to get to. A child's eye, everything was a potential game. Everything. You didn't think, everything we use in the gym now, if you look at it, it's nothing more than the playground. I go into gyms, I go into different gyms, I see they got the pull-up bar station, I see they got the big, what do they call those? Big racks. They use them for CrossFit, but they got the big cross.
Oh, no, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, yeah. I know what you're talking about, yeah.
And the thing of it is, it's nothing more than a gym. It's nothing more than the playground set. It's got monkey bars. All right, it's got space for all types of pull-ups doing it. And I'm like, there's nothing more than what the playground was. The only thing that's missing is a slide. And that's the funny thing when I look at it, I'm just like, we have taken ourselves away from it because, as a child, now you're supposed to quote unquote, I'm throwing up air quotes as though everybody can see it. But we've gotten away from this sense of the fact of, now we're mature. We don't do these things anymore. We have grown-up fun. And what is grown-up fun? When I really talk to a lot of my grown-up friends from that perspective, the only thing that was a common thing would maybe be like a sport. You know what I mean? But fun wasn't going out and doing what we do, like at the playground and doing all these things. Fun was, hey, man, I'm going to go out and I'm not hating on any of this because I think it is natural, but I'm saying fun was let's go cruise for girls. Let's go drink. Let's go do other assortment of things. All right, or let's go cruise for guys too. Let's go do these different things that was not. There's nothing wrong with it, but the perception of now I'm older, I don't do these things, and I feel that it leads to the dysfunction of the fact of as we get older, it's like, oh man, I don't do those things anymore. Whereas before, we walked through the steps, run. Let me see how fast I can go up the steps. Bing, 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 bing. Now, I can tell many of the individuals out there, and Rob, I know you've heard of this. There's it's the leg strength test that you do with the steps. All right, I think it's how many steps you can take within 2 or 3 steps or something like that.
No, yes. You're talking about the steps. I think how many steps you can take within I think it's 2 to 3 minutes. I don't think it's 3 minutes. I think it's 2 minutes. It should be 2 minutes.
All right, and it's like so basically everybody listening out there, they quantify it by how many steps you can take at once. So it might be 3 for some people, 4 for some people, 2. Some people, they can only do 1. But what they do is it quantifies the amount of leg power you have in your legs. The amount of power and inertia you can explode quickly. So if you're taking, we'll say for me, I think right now I know in a 3-story house I can take 3 steps at a time. All right, all the way to 3 stories. All right. Mm-hmm. Probably 4 if it's an emergency. All right, and I've definitely done it. So it quantifies your leg strength. But as a child, you didn't think about quantify. First of all, you didn't even know what quantifying was. You just wanted to see if you could be like Spider-Man or Superman. Bing, 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 bing.
Facts, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what we have to get back to. I was talking to a client, and the thing of it is that this whole thing of we never thought about sets when we were on the playground. You just did it. Yeah, pull up. Yeah, strong. Pick up this rock.
For hours on end.
Exactly. And that helped us. Now, we never knew what that was doing for us. Now, as we're older, we can sit there and do with the papers and pens and quantify and quantify and qualify and all that other stuff. Oh, yeah, the numbers, the ratio of the shear factor all the way into the inertia.
Shut up.
you know, but I'm just saying, like, now we put the scientific meaning onto it. But unfortunately, we've lost the fun. We've lost the fun. We've lost the whole thing of it, which is just, it feels good. It can feel good. I can do it. You know, which to me is just what you're talking about, Rob, which is functionality.
Yeah.
You know, the functionality and which explains why some of these children who, when taken at the right time and trained properly, become superb athletes.
Yep.
Become Serena Williams. Become Venus Williams. Become some of the most amazing people we've ever seen. And then we all go up there and say, oh, it must be genetics.
No. Okay. All right.
That's simply genetics.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. You can do it too if you learn how to use your body, but I'm not going to say anything.
Hey, man. Rob, how is it on the training scene? What is it? How is competition-wise? What's going on competition-wise?
Well, as of right now, I'm training for nationals. That's going to be coming up in May, and I'm in the process now of training. I'm like I said, I'm still learning a lot more things about my body. You know, like each day that goes past, I'm just improving more and more and more. Now I just need to be consistent with it. When consistency becomes a part of the plan, well, it's always been a part of the plan, you know, but sometimes it goes back and forth. But when consistency comes back into the training cycle, that's when things are going to start flowing beautifully. But I'm expecting to be qualified for nationals in May.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah,
you know, how does it feel? How does it feel right now? I mean, because I remember when you were telling me, you were just like, I'm 37th in the nation. I'm 37th in the nation. I can hear it through the phone.
Oh, yeah. It's what I was saying to you before. It feels odd in a good way. It feels odd being closer to some of the strongest athletes in the country, you know, and it's humbling almost, you know, and it's just like it's an opportunity for me to keep going, you know, and I'll tell you, for all the listeners that's out there, you know, I've been through hell and high water to get where I'm at right now, and it's a blessing that I didn't give up, you know, and I think, you know, I don't know if we're ending this interview anytime soon, but I want to say this is that no matter what you're doing, no matter how you do it, or no matter how long it takes, you have to just keep going, you know. And one of the greatest quotes I've ever seen when I was looking up, I like looking up quotes to, you know, just put a little pep in my step. And one of the greatest quotes I've seen was, doubt will kill dreams more than failure ever will.
Oh man, I know that quote.
You know what I mean?
That quote several times.
You know, and it's the truth. You know, action will not get done if you doubt yourself. So if you fail and you understand why you failed to improve next time, that's when success will come.
Yep.
You know, and to the listeners out there, you know, I say it again, you know, just keep going, you know, because you never know what will happen if you just keep going. You know, it's worse to sit back and be like, man, what if I did this? What if I did that? Than to be like, all right, well, I failed this time. What can I do to make myself better next time? You know.
How much of your training, Rob, is spiritual and mental versus physical?
80% of it is mental and spiritual. 20% is actually use my body to do the work. You know, and I reason why I say that because I'll even say it today. In my training today, I was going to clean 315 pounds, and I doubted myself. I was like, man, this is. Because the set before was a little bit heavy, and I was like, this is a little bit heavy. I don't know if I can go up a little bit more. And I was like, no. I said, I don't know if I'm going to fail or not. So I have to
Right.
I have to at least try. I have to at least see what I can do.
Right.
And when I did it, I got it because I believed in myself and I finished my movement. You know, and you may call me a geek for this, but I kind of equate weightlifting to Thor's hammer. You know, if you don't have the right mindset and you if you don't have clarity in your heart and mind, you won't be able to yield the hammer. If your mind isn't clear, if your heart isn't clear, you won't be able to pick the weight up from off the ground.
I believe you.
You know, and
go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just agreeing.
No, I'm saying that, but that's when I piece that together, that makes sense because I failed the first time. When I went to go clean 315, I failed it. And I asked myself why. I was like, why did I fail the weight that I know I can do? And I sat there and I questioned myself, like, why did I do it? And I was like, wait a minute. I need to do this for myself.
Right.
I don't need to show people that I'm strong. I don't need to show people that the guy who's walking in that's bench pressing 315 and I'm cleaning 315. I don't need to show him that I'm doing that. I'm doing that for myself. And that's why I failed. Because when I saw the guy benching 315, I'm like, oh man, look at this. I bet I got better. I'm like, watch this. I'm about to do this right now.
Right.
And then when I did it, I failed.
Right.
And then I was like, why did I do that? And then I sat down and I thought about it. I was like, I need to do this for me. I don't need to do this to everybody who's in the gym and who's looking at me. And once I cleared my head and I cleared my heart, I got it up just as easy as I did before.
You know, so that was we gonna end it here, people. Only because first of all, we could go all night.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Second of all, I know my man's got other things to do. And just to tell y'all something, there's some secret conversations we gotta have as training people. So the conversation is up. Why am I talking like this? I don't know, everybody. But shout out to everybody that tuned in and is listening. Rob, it's always great to have you as a guest. You know you're always welcome back. You started the podcast with me. You're an integral part of the podcast. Even when you're not here, you're here. So thank you for coming. And
sir, thank you for having me again, man. Seriously, thank you.
Oh man, you know you owe me like $558. But anyway, no, I'm just joking.
Wait till I get my clients first. Now I got you.
No, I'm just joking. But definitely, everybody, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back with more of the Oly Lifter podcast.
Hey, you, with the earbuds in their ear. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? When I was trying to get my podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast. I like to upload my episodes directly to the app and then promote. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it. Go to anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. Shout out to Rob Oly Lifter Miller for joining us here at the Oly Lifter podcast. I had to come outside to get some sunshine and fresh air. If you all are hearing the chirping in the background, it's because I'm in my backyard gym right now, just kind of relaxing and getting some sets in and some pull-ups, some push-ups, and getting it in as I like to do. But I just wanted to say that I appreciate Rob Oly Lifter Miller for joining us and having a positive conversation. Whenever we get together to talk, it's always a great
it's always comical and it's always a great feeling just to talk with a good buddy who's trying to be progressive and something positive and really, really, really has a passion and a purpose for what it is he wants to do, which is being an Olympic lifter, a coach, and a trainer. There are many people that are out there that really, really only do this for recognition. There's so many of people out there like that, and to meet individuals who actually want to show people to do better, to live better, to understand movement, to understand what it takes to help you to be healthier, to be fit, not just physically, but 360 degrees of that holistic fitness and health that we talk about. They're very rare. It's very rare. We live in a capitalistic society and here in the Western world, and a lot of time capitalism takes over quality of a product or quality of teaching, and that's not what it is about Rob. And I'm so glad to know him and watch him mature, not only as a lifter but as a human being, as he has as he's grown throughout the years. For so many people, I want to thank all my listeners, all of you listeners out there. I'm always so grateful to all of you out there, because let me tell you, without you, there would be no us here at the De La Fit Podcast. We appreciate you. We thank you for everything. Shout out to all of our listeners out in the California, Los Angeles area. Shout out to all of Shout out to all of our listeners across the globe. Yes, we are now becoming global. That's right. We have listeners out in England as well as in Ireland, as in France. Thank you so much for you out there who are listening to us, and downloading the podcast and sharing. We appreciate you greatly. We are growing. We've had our shares of ups and downs, but we are growing nonetheless, and we are becoming more positive, more stronger. I cannot stand that. We're becoming stronger. I sound like one of the children I work with. More stronger. We're becoming stronger. We're growing. We're maturing, and we're learning more and more. And we thank you for all of your patronage, and all of your love and inspiration. Thank you. As always, if you have any topics that you would like us to talk about, any information you would like us to touch on, you can reach us at www.delafitpodcast.com, as well as our Gmail, which is delafit13@gmail.com. Thank you again. We wish you nothing but the best. Love, peace, happiness. And as always, please treat yourself right. If you treat yourself right, if you treat yourself good, and if you're fair to yourself, you will be fair to others, and you will treat them as well. So with that being said, have a great, beautiful, positive day, and we love you. Peace.
You've been listening to the De La Fit Podcast. Ta-ta for now.